Hey, how's it going, everyone? Back again, and we will be talking about some news that just popped up this morning. Frank Lampard is going to be succeeding Roy Hodgson at the end of the season. It is not official, but it looks very official. Lots of social media companies and a lot of social media popularity people in the world of football have been tweeting this and getting out the news, and it has been quite popular right now. And it looks like, well, Roy Hodgson obviously wasn't going to be staying. He's 74 years old. He's getting up there now. And Crystal Palace have yet to give him a contract offer, and his contract is expiring at the end of the season. And as everyone knows, Frank Lampard is a very young, very knowledgeable, attacking-minded coach and manager, and he was earlier fired by Chelsea, which we all know. But I think Frank is a fantastic manager. If he would have been given time at Chelsea, I think we could have seen a different route in his career. But I think he also needed to take that step up. He only got Derby to the championship, which is quality, as we see now. Rooney's kept them up. He's kept them in the championship. But Derby went from almost being promoted under Frank to now being a relegation side in the championship from a couple terrible managerial spells after Frank Lampard. So Frank Lampard obviously does have something to show, and I think after Derby he should have made a step up to a Crystal Palace like this before going to Chelsea. And now, after being fired by Chelsea, he needs to make the right move. He needs to choose the right team. He needs to really figure out what he's going to do. Because if you make the wrong step after that big firing from Chelsea, everyone's going to really, really come down on him and say he's not good enough, he doesn't got it, he can't cut it. And he's going to get thrown into that kind of David Moyes pile of managers where you're just in that relentless cycle of trying to find the right job, like David Moyes finally did. But if we're going to look at a managerial spot for Frank Lampard, I think this couldn't be more perfect for him. Like I said, he's very young, very attacking style manager. You got the likes of Wilfred Zaha already there. You got Eze, unbelievable talent, young, fast, two attacking fast full attackers. Also, Mateta, people might not rate him. He hasn't been played much under Roy Hodgson. Brought in January. I love him. I think he's a fantastic young Frenchman. You could always use him too. And you got the likes of Wilfred Zaha and Eze, like I mentioned, and you still got Tyreek Mitchell on the left back side. He's fantastic. I think he would work wonders under Frank Lampard, attacking down that left hand flank behind Eze. Play Zaha off the right. You still got the likes of Luka Milivojevic and Victor Guaita, but I think Frank Lampard, I think if they do bring him in, you're going to have to give him some money because this team needs freshening up and needs big. It's obviously going to have a big change this summer because if you know this Crystal Palace side, many might not. They have 11 players leaving this summer on either expiring loans, but mostly their contracts are expired. So he's going to be losing 11 players once he steps in that door. So he's going to be needing to sign that contract for a lot of players or clean ship, which I think he's got to do. A lot of these players are aging that are leaving, and I'll read them out to you in a second, but 11 players leaving for any club is just unbelievable number. Here we got Michy Batshuayi, he's leaving on the loan. Like Christian Benteke, he could leave, he's on a big contract. Jeffrey Schlupp, Patrick Van Arnholt, Andros Townsend, Mohamedou Sakho, Nathaniel Klein, James McCarthy, Joel Ward, Gary Cahill, Wayne Hennessy, Scott Dan, Martin Kelly, Connor Wickham. Like, the numbers are crazy. And most of those guys are first team players. This is why I think Crystal Palace need to go big in for center backs. I think they got to get two. Because you're looking at the center backs right now, and they're old, very extremely old. Like I said, you got 11 players leaving. You're going to have to make some crucial changes, especially if you're going to bring in the likes of Frank Lampard. He's going to want some money. He's going to want to change things. But looking at the center backs right now, you got Kouyaté 31, Mohamedou Sakho 31, James Tompkins 32, and Gary Cahill 35, and Scott Dan 34. You get an average age of 33 in your starting five center backs. Your five first team center backs have the age of 33, which is abysmal for a team that, personally, I think should be higher up the table. Or could be higher up the table with the likes of Wilfred Zaha, Eze, Tyreek Mitchell, unbelievable talent. So I want to give what I think could be a great lineup for them. Guaita, you can't replace him. He may be 34, he may be a bit older, but goalies do come into their prime around 30, 31. You got to keep Guaita clean sheets for days. He's making an unbelievable amount of saves. Keep him in net. One guy I think they need to sign, or Frank Lampard should go out and sign, is Max Aarons. Been talked for around 30 million. Norwich want to get rid of him. Everton have been in for talks. Palace have really been in there. If you get Max Aarons, basically like your Reece James and knock off Reece James for Frank, who worked unbelievably under Frank, and you got Tyreek Mitchell like a Chilwell. beautiful for Frank to work, and he just needs two center backs, which I think is going to be very crucial for him to find. I think Maximovic from Napoli would be a beautiful find, and Joaquin Anderson, bring him back from Lyon. He was playing for Fulham. I don't think Joaquin Anderson was too bad. I talked about him in my Fulham video, but you got to bring in two center backs, and these two have been rumored to go to Crystal Palace for quite a while. I think you got to bring in at least two center backs for Crystal Palace. Then you got to be starters, because if you don't, you're gonna be leaking 56 goals like they did this year, and you still got more games. They're gonna be leaking at least 60 plus goals. So I don't know what they're going to do. If you don't bring a center back, Frank Lampard's going to struggle. And I think if Frank isn't guaranteed money or guaranteed something in this job, like he's got to be guaranteed some players if he's going to take this job. Because like I said, you're 11 players leaving. And he's going to bring in a striker. He's got to bring in a striker unless he wants to run Mateta. And you also got to bring in another defensive midfielder unless they're wanting to re-sign McCarthy to play beside Milivojevic. But I think you got to move on. Milivojevic has got to stay. He's one of the best skippers in the Premier League, you could say, for the longest time. You could always go out and bring in Maitland-Niles from West Brom, getting relegated. He's already in London. Keep him around. Keep him in London. I think he's worth it. He's a quality player, young talent. Be perfect besides Milivojevic. He can do the running around, box-to-box midfielding role, and let Milivojevic do his thing. And you just need to find a striker. Go out there and buy yourself a striker. And I want to say if Crystal Palace can give him the backing, if they can bring in someone, if they can bring in some quality players, I think Frank Lampard could do wonders. Maybe he could pull off a West Ham kind of miracle season like David Moyes says this year. But Frank, take the job. I think Crystal Palace is the job for you. You're staying in London. You're staying at home. Take the job. I think this is the one you got to take, and it'll be very fun and very interesting to fans like myself and Chelsea supporters. I think this would be a brilliant move for you. Take the job, Frank. Thanks, everyone. There's a lot more news, and I'm going to be right on it right after this. See you guys.